Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more edition of English lecture. One more poem. 2.1 Animals. I love taking poems. So, what exactly has been here in this poem mentioned, said? Before I start explaining to you, here the writer of the poem or the poet wants himself to again turn to animals. Turn to animals, he wants to become animal. Why he wants to become animal? Because he finds that there are many qualities in animals which are very, very good, and man is possessing opposite to those qualities. Animals are not whining, not complaining about anything. I did not get this, I did not get that. Animals are not repenting about their sins. Man commits any wrong things, sin, and then he prays to God, oh God, I did such a thing, please forgive me. Animals do not have caste system. Animals do not bow down to rich. There is nobody rich, there is nobody poor, all are equal. Animals don't run after money. I want to earn so much, I want to make a fortune, I want to make a big house. Animals are satisfied, they are content with what they have, they are always satisfied. Okay, so these all things are there in animals which are not there in human beings. Which is why poet is saying that I would like to turn back to animals because they have very good qualities and he is loving those qualities, and the opposite to those qualities which are there in the human beings, he is finding that problematic. In the end he says that maybe human being had that qualities, all these qualities once upon a time. Their ancestors, evolution, which we studied in science long time ago, long years ago, million years back. Maybe man might have all these qualities, but while passing through it gave all these qualities to animal, and himself, the man himself turned to selfishness. That is what he said, what he says during the end. Okay. So I explained to you what has been said. Even if you read the poem now, you will be able to understand, this all has been explained. But I'll explain to you each and every line. First of all, something about the poet. Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman is also known as a father of free verse. Walt Whitman is also known as father of free verse because he used to write poems without any rhyme schemes. Without any rhyme schemes. There is, so in this poem also there is no rhyme scheme. The poem is in a format of a free verse. Let us see something about Walt Whitman, a major figure in early American poetry. In an age when all poetry was rhymed and metrical. What is the meaning of metrical? These poems were composed in a poetic manner. But he just wrote in a free verse way. That's why it's called father of free verse. Whitman made a break with tradition and wrote a revolutionary new kind of poetry in free verse. He was non-conformist, किसी चीज पे कंफर्म नहीं करने का. Okay, not following the prevailing practices. he wanted to go a different way. Not that all poems were writing on a rhyme scheme, all poets were writing in a poem format. He wanted to go towards the left. He wanted to write something different. He wanted to write poems in a free verse format. That is what is non-conformist in all respects, including his social life. Including his life also, he was something different than other people. The poet tells that he feels more at home with animals than humans, more comfortable with animals than humans, what he finds complicated and false. So that was a small introduction about the poet, small introduction of the poem. Poem is very short, we'll go through the poem. Okay, I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. I think I could turn and live with animals. Turn, not that he wants to turn round and go and live with the animals. He wants to himself turn. He himself wants himself to become an animal. If he becomes an animal, then only he can live with animals, na? So I think I could turn means he want to become an animal so that he can live with the animals. Okay, he want to become an animal so that he can live with the animal, transform himself to animal from human being. They are so placid and self-contained. They are very calm. They are self-satisfied. They are self-contained. They are self-sufficient. They are content with what they have. Somebody gave them food, they are happy with that. Okay. So one thing is there, they are calm. They are not getting angry easily. Man is getting angry easily. During the last poem we have studied about a teenage person who was getting angry so again and again. So the poet wants himself to transform into animal because animals are calm, they are not getting angry and they are self-sufficient, they are happy with what they are having. I stand and look at them long and long. He observes the animals and observes the animals for a long time. He observes the animal for a long time and he continues looking at them with awe, with wonder that these animals are calm, these animals are self-contained. Why are we not? Now this sentence, I stand and look at them long and long. Okay? Long and long has been repeated, so you have repetition here and then the word L is repeated, long at them, look at them long and long, so alliteration is also there. These are some very simple figures of speech about alliteration and repetition, so I need not go into detail about this. Somewhere some teacher, we have other teachers also, or myself, when we go through grammar we might explain to you in detail, but maybe I will take some interest in 3 types of figures of speech during this poem and explain to you in detail. So I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. Sweat, they are not slogging. They are not working hard. We want this, we want that. We will work day and night. We will run after money. We will run after food. Whine, not complaining. They are not complaining that they did not get food. They are not complaining that they did not get good climate. Whatever they get, whichever type of water they get, whichever type of food they get, they are eating it. So they do not sweat and whine about their condition. Here, sweat and whine meanings are almost similar. Sweat and whine meaning are almost similar. So we are going to study in detail what exactly is here. Here is a figure of speech called pronouns as tautology. 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 Somewhat H also comes there. Okay. So this is a figure of speech of tautology. I'll explain to you what exactly is tautology. Okay. तो यहाँ पे this line is containing a figure of speech tautology. वहाँ पे your sweat and wine are repeated, meaning one and the same almost. Okay. खाली in order to make the sentence more impressive, it has been repeated twice. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. Man commits sins during the day, and when it is the night time, he prays to God, "Oh God, I did this wrong. Oh God, I did this blunder. Please forgive me." During the dark of the night. Animals do not do this. Animals do not do this. They do not lie awake. They are satisfied. They got food. They are contented. They got good water. They got good climate the whole day, and then in the night they go to sleep. They don't lie awake and complain to God, weep in front of God for the sins that they committed during the day. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. So I think now these 4 lines is very, very nicely explained to you. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid, calm and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. They do not make me sick. Your meaning is given here, disgust me. People tend to say each other, why you are doing this? You have to do good things. God is watching you. Do something which will satisfy God. Do some work which will make God happy. People are there to say this. So animals are not doing this to other animals. Each animal is satisfied on their own. Each animal knows what their duties are. Each animal knows how much they have to be contented, how much they have to be calm, how they do not have to fight with each other. They are not finding fault in others. If you are complaining, if I don't do this, God is looking at you, then you are finding fault in other human beings, which the animals is not doing. They do not make me sick. That is, they don't disgust me discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied. Everybody is satisfied. Okay? Everybody is satisfied. Not one is satisfied means everybody is satisfied. Not one is demented. Nobody is mad. Demented means of bad mind. With the mania of owning things. With the craze of owning things. I want gold, I want big flat, I want 3-bedroom hall kitchen flat, I want a bungalow, I want a big TV, I want good clothes. These are mania of human beings. So this mania is not there in the animals. They are not mad after things. They are not mad after show of things. Everybody is satisfied. Okay? There is no one is dissatisfied. Now यहाँ पे there is one thing added. No one is dissatisfied. No one is demented. No one is mad with the mania of owning things. So यहाँ there is one more. No one is dissatisfied. No one is dissatisfied. So there is a figure of speech here. We are going to discuss hyperbole. Pronounced as hyperbole, but it can be said hyperbole if you want to remember it. बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोल. Some film star says, मैं तेरा खून पी जाऊंगा. So it does not mean literally means that he is going to drink the blood. तो बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोलना hyperbole. Okay, but here pronunciation is hyperbole. No one is dissatisfied. So there might be somebody who is going to be dissatisfied. But here it has been exaggerated that no one is dissatisfied. I am going to explain to you. Students say, I have not done my homework, the teacher is going to eat me. I have not done my homework, the teacher is going to eat me. Teacher is not cannibal to eat. But that has been exaggerated statement given by the student. Okay, so such exaggerated statement. I am going to come back. So यहाँ पे sweat and wine, tautology, no one is dissatisfied, hyperbole. Fine. No one kneels to another, nor to his kind that they lived thousands of years ago. Who kneels in front of whom? The small caste people kneel in front of a bigger caste people. The king, people kneel down in front of the king. Or people kneel down in front of their photos of their ancestors, those who are gone away, those who have died. So here animals are not kneeling in front of anybody. Nobody is big. Nobody is having high status. Everybody is having same status. Nor they are kneeling in front of their ancestors who might have gone away, who might have died. Okay? So, I repeat that line again. No one kneels to another. Nor no one kneels to another. Means about status value. Nobody is big, nobody is small. Nor to his kind, his own kind, a dog के रिलेशन में डॉग्स, कैट के रिलेशन में कैट, टू हिज ओन काइंड lived thousands of years ago. Those who lived thousands of years ago and those who have died in front of their photos or in front of their whatever it is, they don't kneel down. They don't kneel down. Somebody who has gone is gone. Okay? So this line, no one kneels to another, nor his kind that lived thousands of years ago. No one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. Respectable, too happy. No one is too happy. Exaggerated statement. No one is too happy. There might be people who might be too happy. Again, exaggerated statement. Or unhappy over the whole earth. No one is extremely happy or not happy. Everybody is in between. Self-contained, calm. Somebody who is lower excited, ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं है. Somebody who is very very unhappy, weeping for about his fate, ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं है. Everybody is self-reliant, self-contained. So this whole sentence, not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth, is an exaggerated statement that also comes under hyperbole. एक सेंटेंस दिया है, हाइपरबोल के सेंटेंस दिया है, वेरी हाइपर में बोला है, उसको बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोला है, तो दैट अगेन इज ए हाइपरबोल सेंटेंस. नो वन इज रिस्पेक्टेबल और अनहैप्पी ओवर द होल अर्थ. So they show their relations to me and I accept them. These animals are showing their good deeds to the poet. These animals are showing their good deeds to this poet, and his poet is accepting them. He is not finding any fault in them, on these animals. He is finding that whatever virtues they are having, all the virtues are good. There is no single virtue about which the poet can complain about. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. Now, what exactly is tokens? Tokens, your meanings are given. Virtues like innocence, simplicity, contentment. Innocence, all animals are innocent. Fine. Okay. Simplicity, simple, and contentment, satisfied. These are three main things that have been said. Others are, we don't know, truthfulness, kindness, something. But we take these three as innocence, simplicity, and contentment. They bring me token of myself. These virtues of innocence, simplicity, contentment should have been in me, should have been in the all human beings, which is not there. So animals are bringing these virtues back to me, back to the human beings. Poet, when he is speaking about himself, he is speaking on behalf of the whole human culture. So they bring me tokens of myself, the qualities which I should have had. The same qualities they are bringing and showing it to me. They evince, they are showing it. Evince meaning show. There is a meaning here, it is given to you in your book. So evince means showing. They are showing them plainly in their positions. The act of innocence, the act of simplicity, the act of contentment should have been in the human beings, but these acts which are compared as tokens, the animals are showing it to the human beings and showing this, that these are the qualities that we are possessing, the animals are possessing. These are the qualities that the animals are possessing, and these qualities should have been in the human beings. Should have been in the human beings. They bring me tokens, simplicity, innocence, contentment of myself, which should have been with me. They evince and they are showing that them plainly in their position. These qualities, the quality of self-contentment, the quality of innocence, and the quality of simplicity is with these animals, which should have been with the human beings. I wonder where they got these tokens. Poet is wondering, where did they get this simplicity? Where did they get this self-contentment? Where did they get this innocence? From where? This should have been in the human beings. These qualities, these tokens are there in the animals. How did they get it? The last line, very important line. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Did I huge times ago? I stands for the whole human race. I stands for the whole human race. Huge times ago, thousands and thousands years ago, at the times of evolution, and negligently drop them. This that did our ancestors. Their qualities which should have been there in the human beings, the quality of innocence, the quality of simplicity, the quality of contentment should have been the human beings. Maybe this were there in the human beings long time ago, thousand and thousand years ago. By mistake, these qualities of innocence, simplicity, and contentment has been dropped by the human beings, and passed on to animals some years ago. And there is a question mark in the end. Okay, what is the meaning of the question mark? That is, there is an open interpretation in the poem. It is you that you have to decide क्या हुआ होगा, what would have happened, how did these qualities, how did this token of simplicity, contentment and innocence went into animals and went out of the human beings. So in the end, a question mark at the poem. So it is an open-ended poem. That is, you have to decide what would have happened. The poet just leaves a question mark in between. In 3 minutes, I'll just read out the poem so that you understand it now. It should be, the poem was a complicated one, but after explanation, the poems become very, very easy. I think I could turn, change and live with animals. They are so placid, calm and self-contained, satisfied. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. They are not discussing me regarding their duties to God. No one is dissatisfied, everybody is satisfied. No one is demented, nobody is mad about owning things, about the mania of owning things, crazy of owning things. No one needs to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. So no one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relation to me and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They are showing these tokens, simplicity, innocence and contentment. And they show them plainly in their position, that the animals are having this. These qualities are in the position of the animals. I wonder where they got these tokens. From where did they get these good qualities? Did I pass? Did the human race pass that way huge times ago, long time ago, thousands of years ago, and negligently, by mistake, dropped these qualities and gave it to animals? Now you have one more line, they bring me tokens. They bring me tokens. What was the tokens? Tokens was of simplicity, innocence, and contentment. Who is bringing me? Who is bringing? They, the animals are bringing. Can animals bring? Nothing of that sort. So here there is one more figure of speech. That is paradox. So I have already completed the poem. In next 5-7 minutes, I will explain to you these 3 tough figures of speech. All the other figures of speech, simile, metaphor, come thousands of times. You know direct comparison, you know indirect comparison, you know repetition. Words are repeated, you know alliteration, sound is repeated. So I will explain to you these 3 figures of speech. Now first is tautology. What exactly is the meaning of tautology? Okay. What exactly is the meaning of tautology? The saying of the same thing. The saying of the same thing. Okay, the saying of the same thing twice over in different words. Same sentence, in the same sentence you have to use 2 words which are meaning the same. which are meaning the same. Even if one of the word is omitted, the sentence will make sense. The sentence will make sense. ठीक है? So here it was sweat and wine. Okay. According to poetic meaning, both the words mean same. But when we give explanation, sweat means working hard, wine means to complain about it. We will literally take that meaning. But here, in order to make that sentence, the poet, in order to make that sentence more powerful, he used both the words. Now, how do you identify tautology? Tautology. Okay, the saying of the same thing twice over in different words to make that particular sentence powerful. What I will say? I went to see him personal. I went to see him. I went to see him. Who went? I went. To whom? To him. I went to see him. The word is completed. But if I add here personally, okay, now the sentence becomes a tautology. The sentence becomes a tautology. I went to see him. जब मैं जा ही रहा हूँ, तो I am in person. So there was no need of writing personally. But then the sentence becomes a very nice sentence. I went to see him. Sentence. And when I say I went to see him personally, that I went to see him personally sentence becomes a bit much more powerful, much more better. Okay? So I went to see him personally. This I and personally both mean one and the same. So this is an example of tautology. Okay? Then you have the evening sunset was beautiful. The evening sunset was beautiful. The evening sunset was beautiful. BEAU. We are having an English lecture, so I should be careful. The evening sunset was. The sunset was beautiful. The sunset was beautiful. Sunset is always there in the evening. But when you are adding evening, it becomes an example of tautology. It becomes an example of tautology. I am giving you some very, very simple things so that you understand tautology. There are many, many examples of complex sentences of tautology. But then, if in simple terms, I went to see him personally, the evening sunset was beautiful. So, you should get a grasp of this particular figure of speech. Many times, students do not understand that. And last, I need a hot water heater. I can write, I need a water heater. I know, hot करने के लिए चाहिए. But then I am using, I need a hot water heater. But here the sentences are making senses. You cannot say I need a cold ice. That becomes a foolish sentence. Cold ice or something. Okay. तो यहाँ पे तीनों जो सेंटेंस है वो मीनिंगफुल सेंटेंस. I went to see him personally. I and personally. The evening sunset was beautiful. I need a hot water heater. Okay. So these two words meaning the same. Evening and sunset mean the same. I and personally mean the same. Sweat and wine mean the same. So this was example of tautology. This was the example of tautology. Next is hyperbole. pronunciation is hyperbole. But if we read it as hyperbole, hyper होके बोल, बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोल, so I think you will understand much more better what is the meaning of hyperbole. What exactly is hyperbole? An exaggerated statement or claims. Exaggerated statement, बढ़ा चढ़ा के दिया हुआ statement or claims not meant to be taken literally. रियल टर्म्स में उसका मीनिंग निकालेंगे तो जो मीनिंग निकलेगा, यू डोंट हैव टू टेक दैट एज इट इज. Suppose somebody said, I told you to clean the room 1,000,000 times. I told you to clean the room 1,000,000 times. Can anybody tell instruction 1,000,000 times? Even in a lifetime, nobody can say 1,000,000 times. But the word, the sentence has some meaning, but literally you cannot, when you translate it, मैंने तुमको रूम करने के लिए न 1000 बार बोलते, करोड़ बार बोलते यार, 1,000,000 times, so much more than that. Literally, you cannot take it seriously. You cannot take it seriously. Some more easy example, the bag. Somebody is going to station or something, he is carrying a bag and bag is heavy. Heavy means the bag might contain about 10 to 12 kg and the bag is very very heavy. So he said the bag weighs a ton. How much is ton? 1,000 kg. So somebody is complaining that bag weighs a ton. Literally you don't have to take as it is, but he is speaking in an exaggerated manner. Your skin is softer than silk. Your skin is softer than silk. Your skin is softer than silk. Silk is a very soft cloth. How can skin be compared? But यहाँ पे the sentence has been given in an exaggerated manner. The sentence has been given in an exaggerated manner. Okay. So such exaggerated statements not meant to be taken literally. No one's bag weighs a ton. Nobody can tell somebody to clean a room 1,000,000 times. Nobody's skin is softer than silk, but it has been said, I have not done my homework, my teacher is going to kill me. Teachers sentence देना सब दे दिया, but literally it cannot be taken literally. It cannot be taken literally. Now, for today's lecture, last figure of speech paradox. What is paradox? Paradox is a statement that appears silly, absurd, बेवकूफी जैसा statement लगता है. But then, if we do the postmortem of the statement, we try to analyze the statement, we find that it is including a hidden truth. That particular statement में कुछ सच्चाई है. सामने से दिखने में बकवास लग रहा है, सामने से दिखने में we are finding it absurd, but when you analyze the statement, we find that there is some truth hidden there in that. Here he was saying, the poet was saying, they bring me token. The animals are bringing me the tokens of simplicity, the tokens of sincerity, the tokens of innocence, the tokens of contentment. How can animals bring that? But when we analyze the whole poem, when we study the whole poem, we understand that yes, right, somewhere the poet was right. So the definition, meaning of that paradox is that a statement that appears silly but includes a hidden truth. Now suppose the truth is honey which is bitter. सच्चाई बोलना अच्छी बात है, पर कभी कभी लोगों को कड़वा लगता है मीन्स नोबडी एवरीबडी कैन नॉट डाइजेस्ट द ट्रूथ. तो स्पीक द ट्रूथ which is because it is sweet, because it is honey, but there are people who are going to find it hard to digest. People who are going to find hard to digest. So truth is honey and honey is sweet, but here the statement is given which is bitter. Truth is a honey which is bitter. Honey is never bitter, but when we analyze the statement properly, we find that yes, speaking truth is a very difficult thing. Okay, but it is a good thing. It will be like sweet as honey, but speaking the truth needs courage. Fine. So truth is honey which is bitter. The pursuit of happiness makes you unhappy. आप खुशी के पीछे दौड़ो तो आप नाखुश रहते हो. How is it possible? You are running after happiness. So how will you become unhappy? But that is the truth. Contentment. Man is never content. He is asking for more and more of happiness. I want this also, I want that also. He wants all the happiness. When all the happiness he is not getting that, he becomes unhappy. Okay? So the statement looks like a silly statement, but then when you go through it, when you analyze it, you find yes, that is right. The pursuit of happiness makes you unhappy. The more choices you have, the harder it is to choose. If you are being told to choose something from 3 things, you will choose automatically. But if you give 300 things to choose from, then that will become much more harder, because there will be much more better things, better and better beautiful things in that you have to choose. So this is the more choices you have. If your choices are more, okay, then it is harder to choose. Fine. You go to a hotel, you order from the menu, okay, you eat it. But we go to a wedding party and there is a buffet. Then you feel, what should I eat? This also is nice, this also is nice, this is also is nice. Okay. So the more choices you have, the harder it is to choose. Statement looks absurd, but then when you analyze it, there is some meaning in that. Failure leads to success. How can person who fails be successful? But somebody who is failing is going to try again. If he fails again, he will try again. One day he is going to succeed. Okay? So failures lead to succeed. A failure person will try again and succeed. Therefore, failures lead to succeed. So paradox, a statement that appears silly but includes a hidden truth. So these are 3 figures of speech that I took for you. Hope you will be able to understand it and try to find more examples of that, of tautology, hyperbole, and let me pronounce it properly, tautology. More examples of tautology, more examples of hyperbole, and more examples of paradox. Try to search it and make these 3 figures of speech in your grasp. Okay, what was that? That was hyperbole in your grasp. You cannot make it all the 3 figures of speech in your grasp. So that was an example of hyperbole. Thank you very much.